Imagine a time before time itself, when the universe was nothing but an endless void, silent and waiting. There was no sun, no moon, no earth, only darkness. But from this emptiness, something awakened. Beings of unimaginable power emerged, shaping the world with mere thoughts, commanding the forces of nature, and bending reality itself to their will. Before the first man took a breath, before the rivers knew their course, before the stars lit the sky, these supreme gods ruled over all that existed. Some created life from the dust, their voices weaving the fabric of existence. Others governed death, deciding the fate of souls with a whisper. Their names were etched into the hearts of kings, feared by warriors, and worshipped by nations. But among the countless gods of African mythology, 5 stood above all, beings so powerful that even time itself bowed before them. Yet, their stories are not merely myths. Even today, in hidden shrines, in sacred rituals, and in the quiet whispers of the wind, their presence lingers. Some say their influence has never faded. That they are watching, waiting. But if these gods were real, what became of them? Did they abandon the world, or do they still walk among us, unseen? Tonight, we unravel the mysteries of Africa's 5 most powerful supreme gods, but be warned, these are not just stories. They may be more real than you think. In the vast sands of Egypt, where the golden sun rises over towering pyramids and the echoes of forgotten dynasties whisper through ancient ruins, there exists a name so powerful, so revered, that it shaped an entire civilization for thousands of years. Amon-Ra, the supreme creator, the unseen force behind all existence, was not just a god, he was the very essence of life itself. Amon-Ra was unlike any deity before or after him. He was called the Hidden One, for no mortal could truly comprehend his form. While other gods revealed themselves in statues, carvings, and visions, Amon-Ra remained unseen, a force beyond the limits of human perception. He was everywhere and nowhere, present in the wind that swept across the Nile, in the sun that bathed the land in light, and in the silence of the temples where his priests whispered sacred incantations. To understand Amon-Ra, one must first know that he was not always a singular force. In the beginning, he was simply Amon, the god of air, the unseen spirit that moved through the world like an eternal breath. He was worshipped in the city of Thebes, where his influence was powerful but not yet absolute. However, as the centuries passed, something extraordinary happened. Amon's power began to grow, and soon, it merged with another deity, one whose brilliance illuminated all of Egypt, Ra, the sun god. Ra was already one of the most powerful gods in Egypt. He was the sun, the giver of life, the divine ruler who traveled across the sky each day in his golden chariot. But when he set beyond the horizon, he embarked on a perilous journey through the underworld, where he fought off the monstrous serpent Apophis, the embodiment of chaos. Every night, Ra battled to ensure the sun would rise again, bringing light and order back to the world. But even with all his power, Ra's influence began to shift. The priests of Thebes, devoted to Amon, saw their god as something greater, something beyond the sky, beyond even the sun itself. And so, a new legend was born. Amon and Ra became one, merging into an entity so powerful that he transcended both the heavens and the underworld. Thus, Amon-Ra was born, and with him came the undisputed ruler of gods and men alike. In Egypt, power was not just political, it was divine. Pharaohs were not merely kings, they were gods on earth, living embodiments of Amon-Ra himself. They traced their lineage back to him, claiming that their right to rule was granted by the supreme creator. To defy a pharaoh was to defy Amon-Ra, and to worship him was to ensure prosperity, strength, and victory in battle. Temples dedicated to Amon-Ra rose across Egypt, none more magnificent than Karnak, the grandest religious complex ever built. It was here that priests, whose influence often rivaled that of the pharaoh, conducted sacred rituals, calling upon Amon-Ra's power to bless the land. The wealth and power of these priests became so vast that at times, they controlled more than half of Egypt's resources, making them untouchable even by the rulers they served. The devotion to Amon-Ra was absolute, and his presence was woven into every aspect of Egyptian life. His breath was the wind, his gaze was the sun, his voice was the thunder. But despite his immense power, there was one question that remained unanswered: what became of Amon-Ra when Egypt fell? No empire lasts forever, and Egypt was no exception. As the centuries passed, invaders came: Persians, Greeks, Romans. Each brought their own gods, their own beliefs, and with time, Amon-Ra's temples crumbled. His once mighty priests faded into history, and his name, once spoken with reverence, became nothing more than a whisper in ancient texts. But, did Amon-Ra truly vanish? Or did he simply retreat into the unseen world he always ruled? Many believe that even today, his influence remains, hidden beneath the sands, waiting for the day when the world will remember his name once more. Some say his power lingers in the tombs of forgotten pharaohs, in the relics that still pulse with an ancient energy no one can explain. Others claim that the spirits of the desert carry his whispers, speaking to those who dare to listen. One thing is certain: gods as powerful as Amon-Ra do not simply disappear. Despite the fall of Egypt's mighty empire, Amon-Ra's legacy has endured. His symbols, the sun disk, the ram, the scepter of divine rule, are still studied, still revered. Historians uncover new mysteries about him with every excavation, yet the full extent of his power may never be truly known. And perhaps, that is by design. After all, Amon-Ra was the hidden one. He was never meant to be fully understood. He existed beyond the grasp of mortals, beyond the reach of time itself. And maybe, just maybe, he still watches over the world, unseen, as he always has. Could Amon-Ra's influence still be felt in ways we don't yet understand? Is he truly just a myth, or is there something more, something waiting to be discovered? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to uncover more hidden legends and untold stories, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There are many more mysteries waiting to be revealed, and some secrets are meant to be found. Far from the towering pyramids of Egypt, deep in the lush forests and vast plains of West Africa, the Yoruba people tell of a God so powerful, so absolute, that he exists beyond mortal comprehension. His name is whispered with reverence, yet no temple bears his image. No statue is carved in his likeness. No offering can truly reach him. He is Olodumare, the supreme ruler of the universe, the force that governs all things seen and unseen. But while many gods demand worship, Olodumare remains distant, unknowable, beyond the reach of even the most devoted followers. He does not walk among men, nor does he interfere in their affairs, at least, not directly. He is said to be the source of all existence, yet no one can claim to have spoken to him. His will is carried out by others, by the powerful spirits and deities he created, known as the Orishas. If Amon-Ra ruled through divine kingship, Olodumare rules through silence. But make no mistake, his power is unmatched, his authority unquestionable. Even the gods bow before him. Long ago, when the universe was nothing but darkness, Olodumare shaped the heavens and the earth. He wove the sky from the fabric of the unknown, stretched the land across the void, and poured the oceans into the spaces between. But he did not govern the world directly. Instead, he created the Orishas, the divine spirits, each with a specific purpose, each bound to the balance of nature. Among them was Obatala, the father of humanity, sculptor of mankind from clay. There was Ogun, the fierce warrior, master of iron and war. Shango, the Orisha of thunder, whose wrath shook the heavens. Yemoja, the mother of all waters, who nurtured the rivers and seas. Each Orisha held dominion over a force of nature, fire, wind, love, justice, chaos, but none could rival the one who had given them life. For while the Orishas ruled over the world, Olodumare ruled over destiny itself. Unlike other deities, Olodumare does not seek worship. He does not ask for sacrifices, nor does he answer prayers in the way mortals expect. No shrine or temple is dedicated to him, for he is everywhere, in everything. To the Yoruba people, this was not a sign of absence, but of absolute presence. They believed that Olodumare was too great to be contained in any physical form, too vast to be captured by human rituals. Instead, he existed in the wind that carries the voices of the ancestors, the rain that nourishes the earth, the fire that burns in the heart of warriors. Even the mighty Orishas cannot speak to him directly. They may plead, they may seek his guidance, but his will is final, his judgment beyond challenge. It is said that Olodumare watches, silent, allowing the universe to unfold as it must. Yet, in moments of great imbalance, when the world teeters on the edge of chaos, he may act, but never in ways mortals expect. To understand Olodumare's power is to understand Ayanmo, the divine fate of all things. Unlike other gods who rule through might or magic, Olodumare's rule is written into the very fabric of existence. Every man, every spirit, every force in the universe moves according to his design. It is believed that before a soul is born, it kneels before Olodumare and chooses its destiny. Some choose lives of greatness, others of struggle. Some seek wealth, others wisdom. But once the choice is made, it cannot be undone. The path is set, the journey must be walked. This belief shaped the Yoruba understanding of life itself. Success and failure, joy and suffering, all were part of the divine plan. To go against one's destiny was to fight against the order of the cosmos itself. And yet, there was always hope. For while Olodumare had set the path, it was the choices of each soul that determined how the journey unfolded. Among the Yoruba, there is an old saying. Olodumare does not descend, yet his presence is always near. Some believe that Olodumare once walked the earth, that in the earliest days of creation, he moved among men, watching over them. But as time passed, as humanity grew distant from the divine, he withdrew into the heavens, leaving the Orishas to govern in his place. Others say he never left, that he is still here, hidden in the unseen, watching, waiting. There are whispers of a time yet to come, when the world will fall into imbalance, when chaos will consume order. It is said that on that day, Olodumare will return, not as a god of the sky, but as a force so powerful that even the Orishas will tremble before him. He will set right what has been broken, restore balance to creation, and remind the universe why he alone is supreme. But until that day, he remains silent. Watching. Waiting. Even in modern times, Olodumare's presence lingers in the beliefs of millions. His name is still spoken in prayers, his will still honored in traditions that have endured for centuries. His influence can be found in Santeria, Candomblé, Vodou, and many other spiritual systems that trace their roots back to the Yoruba. Yet, he remains a mystery. Unlike other gods, he cannot be grasped, cannot be fully understood. He is a paradox, both present and absent, both near and untouchable. And perhaps, that is the true mark of a supreme god. For while other deities may demand worship, may appear in visions, may seek power and recognition, Olodumare needs none of it. His rule is unquestioned, his power eternal. He does not interfere in the affairs of men, because he does not have to. He is the force that drives the universe, the silent architect of fate, the unseen hand that guides all things. And perhaps, somewhere beyond the stars, beyond the reach of even the Orishas, he still watches. Waiting. Is Olodumare truly absent, or is he simply beyond our understanding? Does he still shape the fate of the world, or have the Orishas taken his place? Let me know your thought. Across the rolling green hills and vast forests of Ghana, among the Akan people, there is a name spoken with both reverence and fear. A name that echoes through time, carried by the winds, hidden in the stars, and whispered in the silent prayers of those who still believe. That name is Nyame, the sky god, the keeper of fate, the one whose power knows no equal. Unlike other deities, Nyame is not merely a creator, he is the source of all divine power. Every river that flows, every tree that grows, every life that begins or ends, all exist only because of his will. Even the lesser gods, the Abuzum, who govern nature and human affairs, must bow before him. Without Nyame's permission, nothing in the universe can move. But for all his power, Nyame is not easily found. He is a god of distance, mystery, and silence. For once, he walked among men. Once, he ruled side by side with humanity. But something happened. Something that drove him away, separating the divine from the mortal world forever. What could have caused a god of such infinite power to turn his back on those he created? In the beginning, Nyame and mankind were close. There was no divide between heaven and earth, no barrier between the gods and the people. It is said that Nyame did not rule from a distant throne in the sky, he lived among his creation, guiding them, speaking with them, sharing his wisdom. Back then, the world was simple. The people were content, for they had direct access to the wisdom of the heavens. There was no sickness, no suffering, no death, for Nyame's presence brought balance to all things. He was both a father and a king, a force so mighty that no disaster could strike while he watched over the land. But humanity is flawed. And as the stories go, it was human arrogance that shattered this perfect harmony. The Akan people tell of a time when man and God lived side by side. The connection was strong, unbreakable, until one fateful moment changed everything. There are different versions of the tale, but they all speak of human foolishness. Some say that the people became ungrateful, forgetting the gifts Nyame had given them. Others tell of a woman who, in her arrogance, struck Nyame with her pestle while pounding fufu, unaware that the sky god was close enough to be harmed. This single act, whether out of carelessness or pride, was an insult beyond forgiveness. In his fury, Nyame did something that had never been done before. He withdrew. Slowly, the sky began to rise higher and higher, pulling away from the earth. The connection between gods and men was severed forever. No longer would the people hear his voice directly. No longer would the divine walk among them. By the time they realized what they had done, it was too late. Nyame had retreated into the heavens, becoming an untouchable force, one that could be felt but never seen. Though he no longer walks among men, Nyame's presence is still everywhere. His power flows through the rain that nourishes the crops, in the sun that warms the land, in the breath of life that fills every living being. Even when he is silent, the Akan people know, nothing happens without his will. His divine language is written in the Adinkra symbols, sacred patterns that hold deep spiritual meaning. These symbols, still worn and carved into cloth today, are believed to be Nyame's way of communicating with humanity, a secret code that only those with wisdom can understand. One of the most powerful symbols is Gai Nyame, meaning, except for God. It is a reminder that without Nyame, nothing can exist, nothing can prosper, nothing can stand. It is an acknowledgement of his unmatched supremacy, his eternal rule over all things. Even today, the Akan people say, Nyame Ntie, without God, we cannot exist. Nyame's power is not only over the elements but over destiny itself. He is the weaver of fate, the one who writes the paths of men before they are even born. Every event, every success, every misfortune, all are part of Nyame's great design. Unlike the Orishas of Yoruba mythology, who can be pleaded with, Nyame does not bargain. He does not listen to prayers the way other gods do. His will is set, his decisions final. The Akan believe that while other deities may interfere in the affairs of men, Nyame simply watches, allowing destiny to unfold. But this raises a question: if Nyame is silent, if he has left the world of men, will he ever return? Many believe that Nyame is not gone, only waiting. Some say that one day, when the world has fallen too far into chaos, when humans have strayed too far from the truth, he will descend once more. That the divide between heaven and earth will be lifted, and Nyame will walk among his people again. But there are others who say he never left at all. They believe that Nyame is simply beyond our understanding, that his silence does not mean absence. They say that he watches from the sky, shaping events in ways that mortals cannot see. That every moment of good fortune, every disaster averted, every mysterious twist of fate is proof that Nyame is still in control. Perhaps, after all these centuries, he is still here, still watching. Perhaps he is simply waiting for the world to prove itself worthy once more. Nyame is more than a god, he is a force woven into the very fabric of life. His name is spoken in prayers, his symbols still worn as marks of divine protection. His power, though unseen, is felt in every heartbeat, in every breath of wind, in the fate that unfolds each day. And though he may not answer prayers, though he may not reveal himself as he once did, his presence remains undeniable. For as long as the sky stretches above the earth, as long as life continues, Nyame will always be watching. Has Nyame truly abandoned the world, or is he still guiding it from above? Let me know in the comments. High above the rolling green hills and sprawling valleys of Kenya, where the land touches the sky, stands Mount Kenya, a towering, snow-capped peak shrouded in mist and mystery. To the Kikuyu people, this sacred mountain is more than just a landmark, it is the dwelling place of Mûgwe, also known as Nyame, the supreme god, the divine giver of life, the unseen force that watches over the world. Mûgwe is not a god of temples or statues. No human hand can carve his likeness, for he is not meant to be seen, only felt. He is in the wind that whispers through the forests, in the rain that nourishes the earth, in the sunlight that warms the land. He is the very breath of existence, the unseen presence that shapes the fate of all living things. But to truly understand his power, one must first know the legend of creation, the moment when Mûgwe placed the first humans on earth and entrusted them with a sacred duty. Long ago, before the rivers carved their paths and before the trees stretched toward the sky, the world was empty. There was no life, no movement, only the vast, silent earth beneath a sky untouched by time. But then, Mûgwe spoke, and the world awakened. From the peak of Mount Kenya, he called forth the sun, and light filled the land. He summoned the winds, and the air began to move. He breathed upon the soil, and from it, the first seeds of life began to grow. Rivers formed, animals roamed, and the earth was ready to be inhabited. And so, from the heart of the sacred mountain, Mûgwe created the first man and woman, Kikuyu and Mumbai. He placed them in a fertile land at the foot of the mountain, a paradise where food was abundant, and the waters ran pure. But he did not simply give them life, he gave them a purpose. This land is yours to protect, he told them. Guard it, nourish it, and it will provide for you. Kikuyu and Mumbai honored Mûgwe's command. They built their home near the great fig tree, the Mûgwe tree, which stood as a sacred symbol of Mûgwe's presence. It was under this tree that they prayed, seeking wisdom, guidance, and blessings for their children and the generations that would follow. But as the centuries passed, the world changed. Challenges arose. And in times of trouble, the Kikuyu people knew that they had only one hope, to climb the sacred mountain and call upon Mûgwe himself. To the Kikuyu, Mount Kenya is not just a mountain, it is a bridge between the human world and the divine. It is said that Mûgwe does not walk among men, nor does he answer prayers spoken from the valley. His voice is heard only from the highest peaks, where the air is thin and the world is silent. And so, when the Kikuyu people are in distress, when drought grips the land, when famine threatens their children, when the balance of nature is disturbed, they journey up the mountain. The climb is not easy. The winds grow colder, the air thinner, the path more treacherous. But the faithful press on, for they believe that only from the mountaintop can their voices truly reach Mûgwe. At dawn, when the first rays of sunlight touch the peak, they kneel, lift their hands to the sky, and pray. Mûgwe, giver of life, keeper of the rain, hear us. They ask for rain to water their crops, for peace to return to their homes, for strength to face the challenges ahead, and sometimes, if their hearts are pure and their prayers sincere, the clouds gather, the winds shift, and the rains return. Some say it is coincidence. Others believe it is the will of Mûgwe. But to those who have made the journey, to those who have stood atop the sacred mountain and felt the presence of something greater than themselves, there is no doubt. Mûgwe is real. And he is always listening. Though the world has changed, and many have turned away from the old ways. There are those who believe that Mugwe's presence has never faded. They say that he still speaks, not in words, but in the whispers of the wind, in the rustling of the trees, in the sudden storms that come without warning. Elders tell stories of those who have climbed Mount Kenya alone, seeking answers. Some return with visions of the past, glimpses of the ancestors who walked before them. Others return with dreams of the future, a sense of purpose, a renewed understanding of their place in the world. But there are also those who do not return at all. Some say that these lost souls were not worthy, that Mugwe saw into their hearts and found them lacking. Others believe that they were taken into the spirit world, chosen for a destiny that cannot be understood by the living. Either way, one thing is certain: those who climb the mountain seeking Mugwe must be prepared for the truth. For the divine does not lie. And Mugwe does not answer lightly. Mugwe is not only the giver of life, he is its protector. And the greatest sin in his eyes is the destruction of nature. The Kikuyu believe that the earth is sacred, that every tree, every river, every animal carries a piece of Mugwe's spirit. To harm nature without reason is to offend the god himself. This belief has shaped the way the Kikuyu live for generations. They plant trees where others cut them down. They seek harmony with the land rather than domination over it. Even today, traditions of conservation and respect for nature are deeply ingrained in Kikuyu culture, passed down as a sacred duty. But as the world changes, as forests are lost and rivers dry up, some wonder, is Mugwe still watching? And if so, how much longer will he remain silent? There are whispers of a prophecy, one that few speak of aloud. It is said that when the balance of the world is truly broken, when the land is barren, when the rivers no longer flow, when the people have forgotten their duty, Mugwe will descend. Not as a merciful god, but as a force of reckoning. The winds will roar. The earth will tremble. And those who have dishonored the land will face his wrath. But there is still hope. For as long as the sacred mountain stands, as long as there are those who climb its heights and call upon his name, Mugwe's presence will endure. Watching. Waiting. Has Mugwe truly retreated into the heavens, or does he still watch over the world? Will he one day return, or is his silence the greatest test of all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to hear more stories of gods and legends, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. There are many more mysteries waiting to be uncovered, and some secrets are never truly lost. Across the vast, windswept deserts of Namibia, where the golden sands stretch beyond the horizon and the silence is broken only by the whispering winds, there exists a presence unseen but always felt. A force beyond time, beyond death, beyond the limits of human understanding. His name is Mukuru, the eternal spirit, the guide of souls, the keeper of the afterlife. Unlike other gods who rule the living, demanding worship, sacrifices, and devotion, Mukuru exists in a realm beyond mortality. He does not concern himself with the affairs of men, with their wars, their kingdoms, or their fleeting desires. Instead, he governs what comes after, the journey that every soul must take when its time in the physical world is over. To the Herero people, Mukuru is both feared and revered. He is the bridge between the living and the dead, the voice that speaks through dreams and omens, the unseen force that shapes fate itself. No decision, great or small, is made without first seeking his guidance, for it is said that those who ignore Mukuru walk blindly through life, destined for misfortune. But who is Mukuru? And what lies beyond the veil of life that only he can see? Before the first ancestors walked the earth, before the Herero people roamed the deserts with their herds of cattle, Mukuru was already there. He existed in a time before time, in a realm beyond the physical world. Some say he was never born, never created, he simply was. It is believed that Mukuru was the first ancestor, the father of all forefathers, the spirit from whom all Herero lineage descends. Yet, unlike ordinary ancestors who eventually fade into memory, Mukuru's presence never weakened, never disappeared. Instead, He became something greater, a force that exists between worlds, guiding those who have passed and whispering wisdom to those who remain. His power is not like that of other gods who command the sky, the sea, or the elements. Mukuru's domain is the unseen, the space between life and death, the place where spirits travel, the energy that binds the past, present, and future together. And because of this, he is always watching. In Herero belief, death is not an end, it is a passage, a journey that every soul must take. But this journey is not simple, and it is not guaranteed that all spirits will reach their final resting place. When a person dies, their soul does not immediately depart. Instead, it lingers, caught between the physical world and the spiritual one. It is in this moment of transition that Mukuru's presence is most strongly felt. He is the guide, the one who shows the soul the way. But not all souls are ready. Some are burdened by unfinished business, by regrets, by ties to the world they have left behind. These spirits wander, unable to move forward, searching for closure. It is said that Mukuru tries to guide them, to help them find peace, but if they resist, if they refuse to let go, they risk becoming lost forever. This is why the Herero people take great care to honor their ancestors, to perform the necessary rituals, to ensure that the spirits of their forefathers do not become restless. For a restless spirit is dangerous, and only Mukuru can truly bring it back to where it belongs. Mukuru does not speak in words. He does not appear in visions of fire and thunder like some gods do. Instead, he communicates through dreams, through omens, through the quiet signs that only the wise can interpret. It is said that when Mukuru wishes to speak, he does so through the ancestors, spirits that visit the living in their sleep, delivering messages in the language of dreams. Sometimes, these messages come as clear warnings, guiding a person away from danger or revealing the path they must take. Other times, they are riddles, mysteries that must be unraveled, lessons that must be understood before they can be acted upon. But Mukuru's voice is not only heard in sleep. Among the Herero, it is believed that signs of Mukuru's will exist all around us, in the sudden flight of birds, in the movement of the cattle, in the way the wind shifts at just the right moment. A snake crossing one's path may be a warning. A fire that refuses to burn may be a message. A shadow moving without cause may be the presence of an ancestor, delivering Mukuru's guidance. To ignore these signs is to turn away from destiny itself. Because Mukuru's presence is so deeply tied to the ancestors, the Herero people ensure that their forefathers are never forgotten. They hold elaborate ceremonies, offering food, milk, and prayers to those who have passed, ensuring that their spirits remain at peace. One of the most sacred traditions is the Mukuru, the ancestral fire. This fire is not just a source of warmth, it is a spiritual link to the past, a way of maintaining the connection between the living and the dead. As long as the fire burns, the ancestors are near. As long as the ancestors are near, Mukuru is watching. But if the fire is ever extinguished, if the people forget their past, abandon their traditions, and break their ties to those who came before them, Mukuru's guidance may fade, and the spirits may turn away. And when that happens, misfortune follows. What happens to a soul that Mukuru guides? Where does it go once it has crossed the veil? The Herero people believe that Mukuru leads the dead to the place of the ancestors, a realm beyond the physical world, where the spirits of forefathers watch over the living. It is not a place of suffering or reward, it is simply a continuation, another phase of existence, where wisdom is gathered and the cycle of life continues. But not all souls make it there. Some spirits, those who were wicked in life, those who refused to listen, those who turned away from their ancestors, may find themselves lost in the in-between, trapped in the space between the worlds, unable to move forward, unable to return. These souls are doomed to wander, to haunt the living, to exist as shadows without purpose. And in the end, only Mukuru can decide which path a soul takes. Even in the modern world, Mukuru's influence remains strong. Though many no longer live as their ancestors did, the belief that the past shapes the future, that the dead are never truly gone, that dreams and omens still carry meaning, these ideas remain unshaken. For Mukuru is not just a god of the past. He is the eternal spirit, the silent guide, the unseen force that connects generations. And as long as the Herero people honor their ancestors, as long as they listen to the whispers of dreams, as long as the sacred fire burns, Mukuru will always be there. Watching. Waiting. Guiding. Is Mukuru truly a silent observer, or does he still shape the fate of the world? Can the spirits of the dead still influence the living, or have we lost our connection to them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want to uncover more hidden myths and untold legends, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. These 5 gods are more than just myths, they are echoes of an ancient power that shaped civilizations. Though their temples may crumble, and their names may fade from history, their presence lingers in the culture, traditions, and beliefs of millions of people across Africa and beyond. But tell me, do you think these are just stories? Or do these gods still watch over the world in ways we cannot understand? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to hear more legendary myths and untold stories, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. There are many more secrets waiting to be uncovered.